Hello, hello, hello. We are making a video together. Hello. Mwah. How are you doing? It's a nice day in December today. I see chemtrails in the sky. Yes, big chemtrails, contrails. Contrails that contain dust particles from chemicals and viruses and all kinds of things, pesticides that are being tested on entire rural communities. Oh well, oh well, oh well, we live in difficult times. So, whatever. Let's make the best out of it. So I want to talk about I woke up thinking about that elephant seal baby in on that beach at the Antarctic Circle. That was, I don't know, 15 years ago or so. A photographer working for National Geographic went there, set up a tent, a heated tent. He had tons of food there that they brought him there with helicopters and everything. He was completely equipped to stay there for, I don't know, 3 months, observing the elephant seal population in Antarctica. And he was filming, and he was making a documentary film, and he was taking photos and documenting what was going on. And something horrific happened. A shark killed one of the elephant seal mothers, and her newborn baby boy was left alone. And I don't know, he was maybe just a month or two old, and he was still like the size of a European Basset hound, or some, like very small roll of a baby who was totally helpless to the elements and to the situation. And he begged and begged and begged. He went from mother to mother and begged and begged and begged with high-pitched sounds. Begged to make the mother adopt him, the other mothers, because his mother did not come back and he didn't know why. And the photographer filmed all of this like with that excuse. That's nature. Let nature take its course. And I was watching that documentary film, and I was absolutely shaken up by that. I was so shaken up by that. I couldn't believe it. I thought for sure that at some point this photographer is gonna have mercy, right? And go out there and bring that elephant seal baby into his big tent. And he had like this huge ice chest there with frozen fish, and he could have fed that baby. He could have also asked someone to come with a helicopter and bring baby elephant seal formula. They can make the formula like this really, really heavy, thick milk or cream or something, or I don't know. They could have made something like this. I know that the marine mammal centers, they have formula for baby seals of different types, okay? So, no, the photographer did nothing, and he justified it by and he thinks perfectly okay. He thinks that's nature. Excuse me, nature can be extremely cruel too, okay? And someone who sees something this horrible and this sees such a horrible situation, they need to intercept. They need to step in and say, now this is not okay, whether that's caused by humans or caused by nature. It doesn't matter, okay? That's unethical to not do anything. I would have immediately, if I had seen this, the mother was, and it was all happening right in front of him. He saw the mother being shredded by a shark right near the shore, okay, and bleeding in the water and all of this, and eaten by the shark. Horrible. And the baby watching from the shore, sitting at that beach by himself. I would have immediately gone out there and brought that baby elephant seal into that big tent. I would have called these people with that radio. I would have asked them to bring a formula. I would have nursed him, and I would have done everything I could. Anything I could. I would even give my life to save him. That's what I would do, because that's what a mother does. Okay. And I would have slept with my arm around that baby elephant seal. Would have been wonderful. And we could have saved him. Okay. But the guy did nothing, and the baby elephant seal starved to death. Okay. And not just starved, but was heartbroken, and abandoned. This is extreme cruelty, and I absolutely condemn that behavior of that guy, of that photographer. I would like to know what Dr. Robert Sapolsky's view on this is, on this situation. I don't think I can ask him that question, because I don't know how to get a hold of him. But my question goes out there into the world, into the public, okay? Asking Dr. Sapolsky and many other wildlife experts and filmmakers, biologists and marine biologists. My question goes out there to them. What would you do in that situation? Okay. And what is your justification for what that wildlife photographer did? Okay. I don't see that there is absolutely no justification for it. He simply didn't care. He didn't have enough compassion. Okay, that's what it was. It's as simple as that. And that's infinitely sad. So, and I don't know what else to say about this. I have cried for weeks over this, and then kept thinking about it again and again and again. Later on, cried about it again. There are many sad stories like this also, and another really horrible thing, what they did in Africa, what the so-called conservationists did. I guess they just don't know better, or I don't know. But there was an orphaned baby elephant, and the land animal baby elephant, the actual elephant, infant, and they nursed him and they rescued him and all of this, and he was alone in this enclosure. They brought him a sheep, and so he and the sheep, they became inseparable friends, and he appreciated that, and they were constantly together and all this. And then a baby giraffe came into that was rescued. And they nursed her back to health, and that was relatively quick. She was already quite large. And they came, they had this like an animal transport truck there, and the elephant baby observed all of this. You'd be very surprised, if you knew how incredibly intelligent they are. And some experts say they are as intelligent as humans. Okay, they have these so-called spindle cells in the brain. Those cells are involved in cognitive and abstract reasoning. That elephant baby observed this entire situation from day one, and he connected the dots, and he saw the next day the giraffe was loaded onto this transportation truck, and they drove her away and released her somewhere where there were giraffe herds. Yes, that is what happened. Yes. And so this juvenile giraffe got accepted by the giraffe herd, and they walked off together, and so that was a success story. But the elephant observed all of this, okay, and was heartbroken over the giraffe leaving, because they were all friends and they needed each other. Okay. And then when the day came for the elephant being a juvenile, big and strong enough to be reintroduced into the wild, they meant well, but it didn't go well. And people should know more about animal psychology. The elephant baby saw that transportation truck again. Okay. There was that same transportation truck, and they lured him in for a couple of days with his favorite treats, and the elephant baby just reluctantly went in there and back out. But he already, they didn't understand how intelligent he is. He already understood the whole situation. He understood that either he or the sheep was going to be transported away, and they were going to be separated. Okay? And that causes extreme anxiety. So when the day came for him to be loaded onto the transportation truck, before they even were able to load him onto the transportation truck, he knew when the day was. On that very day, in that morning, he had his stomach, his entire intestinal tract had convulsions, some kind of colitis, convulsions, and it twisted into a knot, and they were not able to rescue him. He died from that injury, internal injury. And people talk about psychosomatic stuff. Some people say psychosomatic in terms of this illness is some kind of imagination or something. No, psychosomatic actually means that everything is interconnected. If I know that I'm going to be loaded, I'm an elephant baby, I'm going to be loaded onto a truck, and there's nothing I can do about this situation. We're going to be separated, that Wooly the sheep and I, It will affect me physically, as it has affected the elephant baby. Okay. And that was so traumatic for me to see that documentary film. For years I thought about this and cried about it. I have written posts about it. I have tried to explain that to those people. I've left comments, probably my comments go unnoticed, or they will say, "Oh, does this person know anything about wildlife? Who's that? You know." And I studied psychology in schools and on my own. Okay, and it doesn't even need that much psychology knowledge or studying to see that situation and what's going on and how that affects an animal. An animal with that, particularly with that intelligence, with that high IQ, and with the ability to understand and see into the future and make extrapolations and connect the dots like that. And what that did to that elephant, elephant juvenile, that's absolutely horrific. Okay, absolutely horrific. His body was in such agony over that situation, but mind and body, that's one unit, that it caused him, as we say, things can make us literally sick in our stomachs. Okay. That can take on extreme forms. Some people, when they go into a shock or when they are in grief, they can throw up. Some people witnessing terrible things, they can throw up. And it affects our intestinal tract 100%. And in that case, with that elephant boy, it twisted his intestines up completely. How horrific. How horrifically tragic and sad that story is. And that could have been prevented if people had known more, if they had paid more attention, if it wasn't just about their status, their non-profit, their conservation work, and their whatever they have been told by veterinarians. That's why it is so vitally important that we question things. We question school book knowledge. That we question sometimes what a veterinarian says or what he has learned. We need to question these things. We need to use our own gut instincts, literally. Things run through the guts. Gut instinct. All of these terms, they don't come from nothing. Okay? They come from this body-mind interaction. That's where all of this terminology comes from. Body-mind interaction. Okay. I feel sick in my stomach. The grief is laying hard on my intestinal tract. I have no appetite. I can't eat. After Papa died, I had to force myself to eat. That went on for months. I didn't have appetite at all. It was horrible for me to lose the Papa dog. Really horrible. I thought I wouldn't make it through this. Okay. And every day of my life, I feel like my life is so empty. Without my former dogs, Kenny and Dave. So empty, everything. It is what it is. The only thing we can do is we can sit with it and let the tears flow. And let the grief run its course. That's all we can do. And feel it and not run away from it. Because I think if we run away, if we distract ourselves from any of these really deep feelings, whatever feeling it is, if we distract ourselves, we go into a state of escape mechanism and denial. And then we don't heal. The wound stays closed up from the air. And it doesn't heal. Okay, we need to open up the bandage over it and let the air get to it. It needs to get oxygen and force air into the wounds, into the mind, onto the skin. Literally, in order to heal. Okay, and we need to not run away from anything, and just we need to allow these things to speak to us, these emotions, and we need to acknowledge them, and we need to let ourselves feel it. This is very important. It's very, very important. There's so much tragedy happening in the world that can be prevented. You know, in the case of the Papa dog, it was his time to go. He was almost 11 and he had lung cancer. We already adopted him with cancer. We did everything we could holistically to help him heal and to make him live for almost 3 years more, which is quite a miracle. It's quite amazing because normally, particularly if they had operated out a tumor out of his back, which they did, the foster mothers before we got him, they didn't know better, but it causes metastases in the body, and it did. It caused more tumors, and I put hydrated bentonite clay on those tumors, and they healed up. It's quite amazing. I gave that to him internally as well. That's why he lived for so much longer and was also in good shape. Okay, but then eventually, his aging process, that's just the normal way it goes. So then that will also bring back the C word, and it can affect other parts of the body, which has affected his lungs. And he already came to us with this really slight wheezing sound. I thought he was crying, but it was a wheezing sound of the lungs. That's what it was. I didn't realize. So, but that got better. So, because of the lifestyle and the love and all of that. And then in the end, it started to get worse again because of his natural aging process. But for me as a mother, as a dog mother, that's always equally horrible, to lose your baby. Baby isn't even 11 years old, and he's a real old man at barely 11 years old. So that's the difference in the telomerase, the end of the DNA that determines the lifespan of an animal. So it's 10 times shorter lifespan in dogs than in humans, and it's horrific and tragic, and it causes us to go through perpetual grief. But that is what it is, okay? So, and I'll do it again. I will do it again, okay? Because that is what it is. Because being together with that baby, having my arm around his big belly at night, and cuddling with him, and kissing, and smelling into the ears also. It smells so good in his ears. Not everyone agrees with that, but I love that musky, rancid dog smell. I love that so much. I miss that so much. So that it is what it is, and I don't know if I ever will get another one. I don't know. I desperately need one. I don't know if I will ever get another one. I'm not sure. Okay. And that feeling is very painful. So, but whatever. It is what it is. I needed to talk about that. Okay, you guys take care. Bye-bye.